The Game of Thrones story is home to many horrific and incredible dangers, not to mention the deep sense of dread as the struggle for power and the coming of a deep and dark winter continue to grow until at last they sort of fall apart in the last season. But regardless of the last season's failures, the truth is that the world of Westeros and the many terrifying dangers that exist there aren't limited to dragons and various forms of undead beings. In the early ages of the world, there was a struggle for power between the humans and what are called the Children of the Forest, which sounds adorable in a way, but in reality, both of these battling groups were capable of doing ugly things. For example, creating the Night King. During the time of Jon Snow, that's not the technical name, that's just what we're calling it, the Night King is one of the most, if not the most, feared and dangerous powers that threatens to upend the world of Westeros into darkness. So where did he come from? Well, originally he was human, and just a normal guy, perhaps a nice man who wanted to open a store that sold the twine bracelets he made, who knows. The point is that he was nobody, at least until the Children of the Forest kidnapped him, because the Children of the Forest knew they couldn't win the battle for Westeros against the First Men, and because they didn't know that their enemy would be presenting a peace treaty to stop the war. They kidnapped a human and used a cursed shard of dragonglass to turn him into the first White Walker. In proper Game of Thrones fashion, it was an awful and violent ordeal and resulted in the human that became the Night King. The peace treaty was signed and an age of peace between the children and the humans lasted for 2,000 years, after which the Night King and other White Walkers which had been created broke their submission to the Children of the Forest and began a cold, dark campaign against everything living. Which brings us to the Age of Heroes, where Children of the Forest and the First Men actually form an alliance to fight against the White Walkers. And although they aren't able to defeat the White Walkers, they are able to push them into the high north of Westeros and build a wall to protect them from future attacks. The same wall that plays such a significant role in Jon Snow's story. But if you've seen Game of Thrones, you know the wall was only able to help so much before the Night King showed how powerful he had become.